Hi guys, and welcome to a new video. There has been no video for quite a long time now, but finally I'm here again and I will check a few games from one of my students to save some training time with him and to check some other things instead. And also because I thought it is quite useful to analyze some students' game on this channel. So I will give some advice I would give in a private lesson if I would check this game one-to-one, and you can get an impression how I do this. And yes, let's just dive into the game. In this game, I think white had some problems out of the opening because after c3 castles, d3, h6 preventing bishop g5, knight a3, rook e8, knight c4. Black does not really have to play d6 to cover this pawn, but can instead play bishop f8 and then go d5 in one go. And usually, as white, we should prevent a successful d5 push in such structures, because otherwise black is having comfortably much space and this is not great. So either white can try out some rook d1 or some very prophylactic moves to prevent d5, or what is my recommendation for the opening next time is white can actually start with either knight a3, knight c4, because just to show you the idea, in this case black is not ready to play rook e8 and bishop f8 both at once. And if d6, we have kind of a minor success because d5 won't come in one go. We can now play something like this, or maybe start with this, threatening also bishop g5, fighting for the d5 square by trading, and knight e3. And after h6, c3, h6, pawn to c3, rook e8. We are just a tempo up basically, because this d6, it won't count. So that's idea number one, but you need to be careful about two things which you can check on your own in detail. There is this knight e4 move if you play without d3 because of this fork. It's possible. It's not bad for white, but it's probably no advantage either. So this is something you can check out here. Or also trying to experiment with d3, but try to be fast so that black cannot defend it. Usually after d3, they kind of answer h6, preventing bishop g5 ideas, and then we would still be in time. You can check this. Also, you need to watch out for something like this. I have not checked this in detail, so you can investigate it on your own. Okay, let's go back to the game. In the game, we got this not so great position, and d5 was quite successful, and knight h4, d4. Black is simply better here, but played a horrible move here, which is g5. This is just creating a lot of weaknesses, and white is fully back in the game and was even better after the following sequence. Black did not want to tolerate this pawn, which might be quite stable, and the white pieces make a lot of sense after that. There are a lot of outposts and the pawn is also strong, so black decided to sacrifice his king's shelter, the g5 pawn, for taking the central pawn, and white of course took it. Queen d6, knight e4, and queen g6. And that's the second important position in the game I want to talk about. And if you want to challenge yourself as a viewer, you can try to make a decision here. How would you proceed with white? And the move might not be so natural to many. Maybe not natural, or not the first thing I would consider myself, but I would certainly consider it as a candidate. When we have a look at this position, we should, as usual, ask what is our opponent's idea. And the idea is probably to push away our knight, because the knight is really excellent here. And once we start asking, can we do something about our opponent's idea and prevent it, we might consider g4. And of course, this is not a blunder. because after bishop g4 we can just take. And we win a bishop due to this fork. And when black cannot take this pawn, this makes a lot of sense, because we are securing the position of the knight. And if we have enough time to organize, I would like to set up my pieces like h3, knight g3, and then this bishop makes sense. This bishop makes also quite a lot of sense. And the knight is also ready to jump to h5 or f5 with a lot of control, and we are playing against black's pawn structure on the king side, which is shattered. So g4 makes a lot of sense, and it's probably the only way to really prevent f5 long term. Also note that this transformation of the structure, I think it's not that convincing for black, because we still have this knight in the center. He can never really take it because the bishop would take this spot. The knight is excellent, and maybe we can use the g file, and we are very stable due to this excellent knight. Yes, and also our bishop, everybody can be developed into the direction of the center. Maybe also some f4 ideas later, but personally, maybe just play along the g file. Maybe activate bishop f3, rook g1, and so on. And the knight is much better than its counterpart. So this g4, it might look difficult for many at first sight, because we are also weakening some squares, but we're also strengthening some squares, and black really needs to be very fast. Otherwise, for example, after something like king h8, h3, and okay, maybe then f5, but bishop e6, after this slow play, we really have this excellent position. Okay, that's the second crucial point, and I want to talk about one more situation only, which was on the board after bishop a3. Don't really like this move because the bishop is really cut out after b6. I don't really see the point. I would rather have this bishop on this side of the board. Queen f3. Yeah, and that's the other moment I want to talk about. And the key here, why white could potentially be better, is that his king is safer. And so we should try to do something against black's king, and that is opening a position with, for example, f4. This should be considered in any case. Of course, something like taking here, I think, doesn't work. Probably because knight f6 check, queen f6, queen e8. Or maybe we can even postpone knight f6 and play here first, as after something like f5 we would still have this one. And otherwise the f file is very great also. However, I think there was a concern about this f5, and this is refuted tactically. It's not so easy. We can sacrifice the knight, or yeah, here save the knight by some tactics, and after that our position is kind of fine. And if black takes the knight, we can take, and there is a lot of trouble going on. I agree, it's not easy to calculate all this. Yeah, but it's a principled option and should be investigated. Let me maybe explain one more point here. If here, for example, queen e6, we can threaten the knight, and we do not only threaten the knight, we also threaten the queen. And that's too much. Black is not surviving this one. And there's another try, rook e5. But here we can simply sidestep, and there are quite a lot of threats. This guy is attacked, this guy is attacked, and the queen is attacked. And that's also too much. We are regaining the material, and we have an extra pawn. Not so easy. Okay, last moment I want to talk about is the situation which arose here after rook e6. I think in general this move, bishop h3, which was not in the analysis of this game of my student, I think I would seriously consider it, because from a positional point of view, I think this exchange is a correct exchange, because all the black pawns are on dark squares, and maybe I can, yeah, install my knight on one of those light squares, after which it's much better if the light square bishop is already exchanged, because then it's easier to exploit those holes. Just to give us a short sample line, knight f6 check, and knight comes to d5. Of course, white is not a lot better here, maybe just a bit, but I think this is in general a good exchange, and we should take this chance, especially because the light squares are weak, so we want to exchange the last defender of the light squares. So that's it, my thoughts about this first game, and I hope to see you in the next one. Goodbye.